KFI AM 640. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And yes, we are monitoring the Dodgers as they are in the top of the sixth inning. The Yankees are still up 5-4 right now. And we will let you know if anything should change. You need not worry about missing anything. Well, if you can, turn on the Dodger game for the video and turn on the audio here for later with Mo Kelly as I'm hoping. I am really pulling for my Dodgers. This would mean something to be on the air if and when the Dodgers. I don't want to jinx it. But I definitely would like to be on the air if something wonderful were to happen. Let me put it that way. We have a huge show for you tonight. Metro has a new and shiny app we're going to tell you about next segment. And I guess it has some buttons on it, and it can help you call security and call for help just in case you get stabbed or shanked or shot. It's everything that a Metro bus and train rider would need. And Sean Diddy Combs, he's back in the news. You know what that means? There's a new lawsuit, more accusations, more criminal conduct, allegedly. And, of course, we'll continue to monitor the Dodgers. But I wanted to start with this, something I started with 2 of the past 3 nights or so. What has been happening with our print media? You know, the Washington Post and the Los Angeles Times, they have both made the decision. I should say the outlets made the decision. The editorial boards disagreed with the decision, but the outlets had made the decision that there would not be any endorsement of a presidential candidate for this particular election, even though, at least with the LA Times, they had an endorsement of every other race that was on the table. And New York Times had every intention, at least from its editorial staff, of making an endorsement. And in both instances, from what we understand, the editorial staff said it would have been Vice President Kamala Harris. But I wanted to dig down into this because you've had the respective owners. You've had Patrick Soon-Shiong for the LA Times and also Jeff Bezos for the Washington Post say pretty much the same thing. They've said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's pretty much the same thing. They said that they did not want to get into the fray. They didn't want to influence the presidential campaign. They didn't want to distract from the larger discussion of the candidates, and they wanted to encourage people like you and me to do our own research. It's such a popular phrase, do your own research. And I wanted to say this, and Mark Runner, he's out right now. He I don't know if he can jump on, but if he should,
I'm here, Mo. I'm
okay,
here.
Good, great. I remember when I was working for different editorial boards, different print media outlets, that there was an editorial calendar. And nothing was done by chance, and nothing was done at the last second.
Now you're on to something.
We knew that come October, we would have X, Y, and Z. Come November, we would do A, B, and C. And in years of a presidential election, all of that was mapped out at least 6 months in advance. There was no surprise to be had as far as what was going to be printed by that outlet as you got closer to an election. So for the respective owners to say, this is what we've decided, and it's done literally inside of 2 weeks before the election, that goes against everything anyone with any experience with print journalism would have experienced, would know as a professional. You don't make editorial decisions to move in the other direction, to not publish an editorial 2 weeks before an election. That decision, if it were legitimate and sincere, would have been made 6 months ago. And it would not have been a surprise to the editorial board. And here's another thing. People need to be reminded that the editorial board or the editorial journalists are different from the news staff, different from the reporters. The reporters, they report the news. The editorial staff, you have the editorial columnists and the editors, they get together and they decide what they will say as one voice representing that outlet. The editorial board for the LA Times, the editorial board for the Washington Post. Those respective groups have been working together on these endorsements. I can't speak for you, Mark, in your particular experience, but in my experience, they would be working on them for at least 3-4 months.
Oh, yeah. And the rationales for killing these things, for spiking these at the LA Times, Washington Post, and now USA Today, they're completely dishonest and just utter hogwash. First of all, You don't do that, as you indicated, a week or two before the election when all this stuff has been planned out. It is the owners who are not journalists interfering with the free press. It's as simple as that. It's absolutely unacceptable. And the Washington Post is reaping the whirlwind right now. As of yesterday, I don't know what the current figure is, but as of yesterday, they had lost 250,000 subscribers, 250,000. That is an enormous amount. That's more than many papers total.
It's probably more than that now because that number was gleaned from the number of cancellation subscription emails which were sent out, and staff inside the Washington Post, they were able to get that number because of those emails. And since that number has been reported, they, I guess, rescinded that ability for the employees to find out any information about those cancellation subscriptions because it was embarrassing and they didn't want that information going out. So it's probably closer to 300,000 now.
Yeah, what a shock. A newspaper deciding not to be fully transparent. The Washington Post is committing seppuku right now. It is horrifying to watch in real time.
The real problem is not only this particular election. It doesn't matter what they do in the next election. It doesn't matter what they do in the future. I don't think that I put it this way. There are things that you can do which can irrevocably damage your reputation, and you will not be able to get it back. You will not be able to get back the trust and faith of not only your loyal readership, but also the general public. I'm not talking about how people may cast legacy media as fake news. I'm not talking about the politicization of it all. I'm talking about the people who thoroughly understand how news works and appreciates how it does work.
You're completely right. Nobody is going to trust, nobody who follows the media and journalism is going to trust the Washington Post as long as Jeff Bezos is still running it. He has just initiated a complete disaster. He needs to distance himself from this. He needs to release it, sell it, do something, put it in do like what ProPublica has done. But he's destroyed the paper's reputation, and so has Soon Xiong here in L.A.
Originally, when either and both of them made their respective purchases of those print media outlets, they both individually said that they were going to have like this invisible partition where they were not going to interfere in the actions of the respective outlets. And that, of course, now is just not true. You can't undo this. You can't get the horse back in the barn. You can't get the toothpaste back in the tube and all that. Do they have actual tubes for toothpaste anymore?
They do. So. They do.
Do they? I don't use actually.
You don't brush your teeth?
No.
You just take them out and soak them in a glass next to the bed?
Point of order. I use toothpaste, but it's in one of those stand-up containers. It's not like a tube that you roll up.
Oh, so you push down.
Yes.
I don't want to hijack things here, but I think they've fixed toothpaste since the old days. Relationships have broken up over how you squeeze and roll the toothpaste tube. I got toothpaste now where it just plops right out and you don't have to squeeze it.
Yeah, you don't have to roll up a toothpaste container anymore.
We're living in the future, but this has nothing to do with journalism.
Nothing. But the point is that we have passed the Rubicon, the point of no return, all those things where you can't undo what has already been done. And I'm not even sure that even if you were to remove Patrick Soon-Shiong or Jeff Bezos, that this would right the ship in either instance.
Well, let's give it a try first and see if it works.
Fair enough.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Got a little bit of bad news. The Yankees tacked on another run, and they're up 6-4 thanks to a home run by Austin Wells last inning. They are now in the top of the seventh. Yankees 6, Dodgers 4. Dodgers are up at the plate. One out. We will continue to monitor and have our fingers crossed and put on our rally caps, and hopefully the Dodgers can pull out another spectacular last-minute victory. So we will continue to watch that. Let's talk about the Metro real quick. The Metro is best known for crime right about now. Let's be honest. It's not about getting people from home to work. It's not about getting people around the city to the different places of interest and sightseeing tours. No, it's about crime because that's all we hear about. That's all that it's best covered for. To that end, we've had discussions about increasing police presence and increasing patrols, somehow a dedicated police force for the metro. And hopefully that would decrease the amount of crime. Well, this is something else that Metro is trying to do. They've revamped their app. In fact, they've launched a new version of what they call the Transit Watch app. Think of it like you know how you have the neighborhood app where you report all the crime in your neighborhood and all your neighbors get to see how much crime is in your neighborhood? It's kind of like that, but Metro style. And this Transit Watch app it's real simple. You can share information, including your exact location. You can upload videos in real time, 24/7. And you'll have a direct line to security. So as you're getting shanked, you can send a direct line to security and say, hey, I'm getting shanked. Here's a video, and share your location. And someone hopefully will be on their way to save you. There's real-time translation functionality from inbound and outbound messages to accommodate limited English proficiency users. There's an optional share location feature, which allows users to easily select the location from where they are reporting, whether it be a station, bus stop, train, or bus. And this is important. I'll tell you why. Back when I was riding Metro, there was no internet availability. Once you went down in that subway tunnel, you were done. You didn't have any type of phone service. You didn't have any type of internet service. You were just on your own. It was kind of like Escape from New York. You're down in the tunnel and, whoever you encounter is whoever you encounter. Because it wasn't like there were any police. You couldn't call for help. You couldn't call 911. I'm being serious. There was really nothing you could do. Well, it was less violent back then, but as it's become more violent, it became more and more apparent there needed to be some way for people to be able to communicate. So they've now created, implemented, constructed the infrastructure so people can use their phones on the train itself, in the tunnels, and elsewhere connected to the metro. And that's something good. So you can share your location. You can contact security directly, and they say expanded media capability allows users to upload videos in addition to photos. How about that? So Metro is trying to up their game where you will have a greater ability to stay in touch with Metro in the event that you should need assistance and not have to wait or have to rely on some other system to call for help. Is that going to change everything? Probably not. But I think it's a step in the right direction.
Oh, this is a humongous step in the right direction. This is what we needed to hear about instead of the green shirts. Not knocking the nice green shirt people, but we needed something tangible, a way where we can actually alert authorities, a way where we can capture, because I don't want you to come at, if I've say been stabbed, I don't want you to be asking me questions about, give us all the details on the assailant. I snap a picture. It should go right to you. I want you to be able to find this individual at the next stop. You know where it happened. You'll be able to quickly get to the next couple stops or get into the area. This is fantastic.
What I do like about it is, let's say that there are 20, 30 people around an incident. They can all give pieces of that puzzle. Mm-hmm. One person may not get a direct frontal view photo of the face of the would-be assailant, but another person could. And you can also track a person's movements, because yes, the guy in the green hoodie, we just saw him, he's here, or he's at the next station, and so forth. You can have a continuous flow of information, which could help make someone, and not necessarily safer, but there will be a way to be able to track some of these events and would-be assailants.
Yeah. Capture the criminals. It's most important that the individuals who are committing these crimes aren't getting away with it. And that's what we've been seeing, for so long, that these random, out of nowhere attacks are happening, and there's just hands in the air like, I don't know what we're going to do. Throw some more green shirts on the train. No.
Well, it's a multi-pronged approach. I think it needs to be. It's not just security. There's also an information aspect to it. If something happens, we need to know about it as it happens, where it's happened, and where assistance is needed. Because if you're on a train, for example, you may not be able to get in touch with the conductor other than just pushing that emergency stop button. But you may need an immediate assistance, and you need to be able to get that information out immediately instead of needing some other person to relay that information.
And this on top of the weapon detection system that they're coming up with, and enhanced by the green shirts, who should all be able to use this technology and help to capture incidents in the moment. This is Metro moving in the right direction. Yeah. I know they're not going to give you credit, but they should give you credit for at least brainstorming and coming up with some ways.
No. It is very positive. Now, how functional it is, how practical it is, we'll see, because there will be other incidents in which it can be used, and see if it's effective in any way. See if it can offer assistance in any way. If it can fill in any of the gaps along the way. If it can help in that regard, then you may not need as much people power to protect people. Because if you have eyes everywhere, that's part of it. If you have a communication ability everywhere, that's part of the problem and also part of the solution. So yeah, I think it's all going to work together, but it's still going to have to come back to, it's going to always work its way back to having some sort of legitimate armed security presence throughout the system. You can't have people getting on a train at 12:30 in the morning and just fending for themselves. And you can't have a system which is so open where it's very easy for would-be criminals to get on and victimize other people. Those are the things which also have to be addressed. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And when we come back, we got to tell you about the latest, and it's actually pretty disturbing. So I want to let you know this in advance. It may not be good if you have any young people around, but we have to tell you the latest on P. Diddy and this newest lawsuit, which has been alleged. It involves a minor, and it's also a minor who allegedly is from Los Angeles. So there is a local connection to this next lawsuit. We'll tell you about that next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And as I said, time and time again, that there would be more accusers. There would be more lawsuits. And I said we were closer to the beginning than the end. And I'm telling you once again, there will be more. Even beyond what I'm about to tell you, there will be more accusations, allegations, and accusers. There will be more with respect to Sean P. Diddy Combs. The latest one is a lawsuit which was just filed here in LA, and it alleges that back in 2005, the parents of a 10-year-old boy from LA sought to help their son's burgeoning career and flew with him to New York to meet people in the music industry. This is not an unusual story in that regard. P. Diddy allegedly told a consultant the family hired that he, as in Diddy, wanted to meet with the boy alone. In a hotel room, the plaintiff performed several rap songs for Diddy, who then told the boy, according to the lawsuit, and he's referred to as John Doe in the suit, that Diddy could make the boy a star. And then it says, quote, Combs asked the plaintiff how badly he wanted to be a star and what plaintiff would do to become one. The plaintiff responded, as any 10-year-old child, that he would, quote unquote, do anything. According to the lawsuit, one of the other people present gave the boy a soda, which made him feel, quote, a little funny. And it goes on, this directly from the lawsuit. After plaintiff consumed his soda and began feeling its effects, Combs told plaintiff to move closer to him, which the plaintiff did. Combs then abruptly pushed plaintiff down and said words to the effect of, you have to do some stuff you don't want to do sometimes. And then the lawsuit goes on to graphically to describe an alleged sexual assault. And it's one of two new lawsuits which were filed against Diddy yesterday here in LA. There's going to be more. And what we're seeing is you're seeing more and more minors, accusations, including minors, That's not by accident. If it were one minor, you think, okay, maybe that one is the outlier and we don't have to believe that. But when you're seeing more and more, it starts to develop a pattern, and you see that quite possibly this was really prevalent in his alleged criminal activity. Yes, this is a civil suit, but it's alleging criminal activity.
There were lots of stories when he had his Making the Band show of things he did to the contestants and to even would-be contestants, outside of making them walk miles to go get a slice of cheesecake, that involved torture, and some had alleged sexual acts, but it was kind of brushed off as, that's Diddy, he can get anyone, why would he do that, blah, 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 blah. But now, when you look further at some of these more recent lawsuits, these individuals who at the time were minors, 16 and 17 years old, some who were forced into graphic sexual acts, some who said no and were immediately disbarred from competing and or threatened within the industry. They would never go anywhere, this, that, and the other. We're seeing more and more people coming out. And as you say, again, this one young man doesn't have to be true. But it only takes one of these cases for everything to be true.
Right. Because this is not the only then minor alleging this criminal behavior. And this is something I have to remind other people, because wrongly, people were trying to say, what is this? Why is it people are getting upset about freak-offs? Why is it they arrested him because of having sex parties? Sex parties aren't illegal. No, they're not. But we're talking about something over and above and in addition to those sex parties, those alleged legal consenting adult sex parties. We're talking about people being drugged. We're talking about minors also being involved. We're talking about people being forced against their will and then threatened after the fact with violence. There's a lot to this, and there's a whole lot more which is still going to come out. We know that there are other quote unquote celebrities who have been implicated, at least by knowing, who are witnesses to some of these alleged events. Some may have allegedly participated as well. We don't know. They're quite sure varying levels of involvement with a lot of people. So there's going to be a whole lot more which is going to come out, and which is going to be both embarrassing and infuriating along the way.
And these freak-offs weren't just consulting freak-offs, looking deeper into some of the allegations, because all of that baby oil allegedly that was purchased was laced with drugs. So that was a part of getting people lucid and in the mood, and that is a part of the ploy and how it was utilized. So people say, like, what was he doing with all that baby oil? What is the point of that? That was the point. It was everyone get loose, and that was allegedly in the suits is what was done with this substance. So the freak-offs weren't just freak-offs. They were opportunities to drug individuals and get them placid and victimized. Allegedly.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We'll give you a Dodgers update when we come back. We're pulling for the Dodgers. We're rooting for the Dodgers, but they are still behind. We'll give you more in just a moment. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
But if you're not watching the Dodgers right now, they are still trailing the Yankees 6-4. It is now going into the bottom of the eighth inning. Unfortunately, Max Muncy just struck out to end the inning. It's not over. Not all is lost. It's just that the momentum is just not on the Dodgers' side, it seems, this evening. After that grand slam earlier in the evening, it seems like the Dodgers have been ice skating uphill, trying to get back in this game. But it's not over. Going into the bottom of the eighth, meaning the Yankees are coming up, and the Dodgers have one more inning, 3 more outs in which to tie the game. And I was talking to Wallace, like, gosh, I would love the Dodgers to win, but if the Dodgers were to win, what does that mean for my drive home? Am I going to make it home safely? Can you imagine if the Dodgers were to win the World Series and sweep the Yankees tonight? what that would mean for LA. I know between me and Steph, we would have to get home and board up the houses as quickly as possible because the fireworks alone, the street takeovers, all that would be out of control. And I'm saying, I'm like conflicted. It's like I want the Dodgers to win, but I know what that will likely mean. It means that I will have to dodge Molotov cocktails on the way home, landmines, and all sorts of foolishness, which will be going on for the foreseeable future. Hey, Steph, let me just ask you, have you heard the rash of fireworks over the past couple of days? Have you been hearing those as well?
Yeah, I thought that was just me, but yeah, there's been a couple nights where I'm just like, really? What's?
I mean, like 4th of July-esque, going on for hours, extensive fireworks displays.
And then I thought, because it's funny you mentioned fireworks, then I thought maybe it's because of some of the victories.
Maybe, but it seems
random. I know.
Yeah, it seemed random. It wasn't like it just was at the end of the baseball game, because the baseball game would be over at like 8 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
And it was going well into the night. And I was waking up in the middle of the night thinking like, wait a minute, is this like July or something? Because I know in my neighborhood, I can't speak for yours, but in mine, the fireworks would go from about April to August, maybe September, but not into November. We're looking at November. So it was really strange to roll over middle night of like October 27th and have all these fireworks going off as if it were a major event or a major celebration. I didn't quite understand it. And I know if I could hear it and feel it, that Stephen, you probably could hear it and
exactly.
feel it as well.
The first time it happened, I thought it was maybe just like, I don't know, party was just getting too loud. But then after like the second night, or when it was just a random time, I could hear like the pops and then like boom, and it rattles the kind of the floor. Yeah.
Now there's certain sporting events I know they're going to be fireworks. Like the USA is playing Mexico at the Coliseum for like the CONCACAF or something like that. I know they're going to be fireworks later that night, and I just plan my life accordingly. I know the night of the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter who's playing in the game. They're going to be fireworks in my neighborhood. 4th of July, of course. If the Lakers are playing in the playoffs, they're going to be fireworks if they do well. Last weekend or 2 weeks ago when the Rams were playing the Raiders, fireworks. It did not matter. It just meant that there was a football game at SoFi and the Raiders were playing in it. It was more about the Raiders than it actually was the Rams, because the Rams would be there every other week and you won't have the fireworks. But when the Raiders were there, fireworks were everywhere. So long story short, watching the Dodger game, even though I want them to win, it's going to turn into a thing for me personally if they do. And I have to think about how I'm going to be able to drive home safely. Can't take the surface streets. And the 110 is going to be, did you ever drive down the 110 on like 4th of July and see how the fireworks light up both sides of the freeway?
It's a trip driving down that night, because this is like and you know that you see the professional ones and you're like, that's someone's apartment in East LA or something.
It's
South Central
apartment. It's not like it's Wilson Park in Torrance where you have like this open field with this professional, fireworks show. No, it's a professional show coming out of somebody's backyard.
And the thing about that too is, if you're not familiar with that area, they're clustered up, like they're real close together. So I mean, one firework could hit a house without even trying, because they're right next to each other. They're right on top of each other.
What I've never understood, and I intellectually understand, but I'm just saying in a general sense, I don't understand, is how they manage to keep themselves so well supplied throughout the year. I mean, who is this year-round fireworks business? Now, I know a lot of it is coming from south of the border. I just know that because I've talked to some folks in my neighborhood, and they're saying that's where they're getting it from. I'll take their word for it. It's not like they're getting it from the fireworks stand 2 streets down in Inglewood where they're legal. No, these are professional grade, and they're coming from somewhere other than right around the corner. So back to the Dodgers. They are still down 6-4. The Yankees are batting right now, and I know you're probably living and dying with me. This is my concern, and I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but it's been on my mind. With the Dodgers up 3-0, and anyone who has ever spent any time following professional sports, It is always most difficult trying to close out a team. It's one thing to get a 3-0 lead. It's another thing to get that fourth and final win. And I believe the Yankees have been playing under their potential. Yes, the Dodgers have been playing very well, but the Yankees are eventually going to come out of their slump. The Yankees are going to start hitting. Some things are going to go their way. They're going to get some timely hits. They're going to have some good luck. I hope it won't be until next season, but there's a distinct possibility it could start tonight, or it has already started tonight, and then the Yankees start developing some momentum. We just had a play right now where the Yankee hitter just hit a double. Actually, it was a single. He was going to be tagged out at second, and the Dodgers player dropped the ball. So the Dodgers are in trouble again. They have someone on second base. Yankees have someone on second base with one out. So, and you don't want to give up more runs, but this is the time where I'm just really stressed because the Dodgers never make anything simple. I wish they would have come in and got those first 2 runs like they did and then just blew out the Yankees. And so the Yankees just would have given up earlier on in the game, but it didn't happen that way. And I just feel this momentum shift, and I'm dreading it getting bigger and bigger. I know it was highly unlikely that the Dodgers were going to sweep, but I didn't want the Yankees to get an inkling that they had any chance to win this series. And it doesn't take much for another team to start getting momentum. And then the next thing you know, they're going back to Dodger Stadium with a 3-2 series as opposed to ending it here in New York. So right now it's still 6-4 Yankees over the Dodgers. There's one runner on at second base with one out. We'll continue to follow this. Hopefully the Dodgers can pull it out and have everyone start celebrating the rest of the night and ruin my drive home. If you're going to ruin my drive home, I would rather it be for the Dodgers winning their 8th World Series. We'll continue to follow it. It's later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
If you already know what you want us to say, you're probably in the wrong place.
KFI
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live